It's weird. We are live now. Yeah, so work.
Nice.
Hey,
Hello, everyone.
welcome.
We just welcome back. We just had a little technical problem. We thought we're not gonna go live. So just gonna say the date here so we can have that as a track. Today is 23rd of May of 2024, and it's our 49 show on live streaming.
Wow.
Yeah, feel quite a long time. So we have a little special guest today. We I'm gonna let he introduce himself, but we're gonna play the show reel just quickly as we always do, and then he can introduce and we can start on the conversation. And everyone, please feel free to ask us questions as well. It's always nice to get a few people involved on the show. Let me just get the show reel so you guys know. And is everything changed? Oh, cool. Yeah, I think it's all working. Can you guys see this?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. Nice.
Nice.
Oh, really nice. So we have Jakob here is famous as YIPPIEHey on the Instagram, and but let you introduce yourself, man. Tell us a little bit about you, who you are.
Yeah, I'm Jacob. Yeah, as you said, working under the alias YIPPIEHey. I'm a digital artist, working and living here in Hamburg, in Germany. And yeah, I specialize in colorful and fun illustration and animation, focusing on character design for the last couple of years. But I also do like typography and yeah, all sorts of cute and fun stuff in 3D.
So where did you get your name from? Like Yippee Hey. I mean, obviously it's very joyous.
Yeah, it's
I mean, you
actually
can't help
like
but say it, but smile. You have to
yeah,
smile.
it's a pretty silly story actually. Back in the in the really late 90s when I was like starting to get on the internet, I was playing a demo of a PlayStation game from Die Hard, from the movie series, and the guy always said "Yippee motherfucker," and so I was setting up my first ever email address, and I wanted to use Yippee, and it was already taken. So I tried a couple of like different combinations and like similar words, and I ended up like using Yippee because that was available. And yeah, it pretty much stuck like because it's like a made up word, so it was like available on every service whenever I had to choose a username or like a new email address and stuff like that. So yeah, I always used it, like firstly just private, and then yeah, also when I started on Instagram. And then yeah, at some point when I started posting work, I thought about like, should I change that to like my real name because it's more professional? But a couple of people told me that it's quite recognizable and it's quite fun, and people mostly get it wrong. They mostly spell it wrong, but they remember it's something fun with Yippee. So yeah, at some point I thought like, yeah, fuck it, I will just stay with it. And I think now it pretty much fits my aesthetic as well. So yeah,
Did
it's a
your
nice coincidence.
aesthetic grow around the the name then?
Yeah, maybe.
Which I guess
Yeah.
you made it fit around it, right?
Yeah.
Because even you know, for anyone looking on Instagram, how colorful he is and everything, and sometimes I see your stories as well. You know, even in the house, you start decorating things really colorful as well. So it's
Yeah.
and when we were talking at off as well, you always dress like with purple and everything. So really, it's quite funny to see you in black today. To be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a neon yellow sweatshirt on, but it was too hot in here. So yeah, I have colorful shoes on, so I always have like at least something with color. But yeah, also a lot of black with some color details.
That's cool. And to understand more about your work, man, just thinking, where did you study design animation wise, or how you start in the career, and why did you always have this kind of a colorful and really a lot of your work is really character driven as well. It's quite nice. I really love the pieces when you do yourself as a character. That's really cool. It's really recognizable as well. But how did you start, and you used to be like this, or did you had a transition through the years?
I think it was like a really long transition, quite slow as well. But I think I always had the interest in colors and like this cuteness. I was really interested from quite early on in characters. I've been following Pictoplasma conference for so long already, long before I even started studying. And the process was I started doing at some point I was really interested into Photoshop, and I figured out I want to do like something with that, like using Photoshop or like Illustrator and all these tools I found really fascinating. So I did an apprenticeship in pre-press, which was not creative. It was like I was happy to use like all the tools, but it was like color retouching, layout, compositing and stuff like that. And yeah, at that time we had magazines and art books in that studio. And I got more and more interested in also like using the same tools, but in a more creative way, because I saw like people doing that. And yeah, at some point I decided to actually go to art school and study design. So I studied communication design.
Wow.
And still I did more like graphic design, and I was really also interested into like typography. So for some time I thought I would do like type design. But then I was always interested in illustration, but I thought I can't really draw that well. So
I feel you.
yeah, so I thought like, because I didn't know better, I thought if you can't draw, you can't be an illustrator. So I saw this presentation from a different student who did an internship in the UK, actually, in Portsmouth, Southsea, at Isle of Dust. So it's an illustration studio. That was already like mind-blowing for me, that there is a studio which is like only doing illustration, with a lot of people like all so talented. And he showed me like what he did in this internship, and I thought, yeah, I can at least do an internship and see if there is something I could do. I applied there and I just started like experimenting with 3D a bit, and they were looking for someone doing 3D. So I got the internship, and that changed everything for me, because
That's cool.
yeah, there I learned that you don't really have to draw to create illustration. Like you can find other techniques and workarounds.
It's funny you say that, because we had a friend, Sebakuri, as well. I don't know if you know.
Yeah.
And Sebakuri used to be like a big animator and everything, and he never knew how to draw. And I feel like latest few years, he started just drawing and got really famous as an illustrator now. So it's the second person I hear that, and it's quite nice. I think give you just a different perspective, because I have the same. I'm not amazing illustrator, but when I start using Illustrator, really open doors for me, because you can use the pen tool to really illustrate, and 3D open another door as well. So it's quite cool. You saying that.
Sometimes your limitations push your illustration style as well. So you work on your limitations, but then that starts to define your style, and then it evolves from there, kind of thing. So sometimes limitations aren't really a bad thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think I don't know how old are you, but I'm 44 now, and I come from a generation. I know your father was 22, James. I always lied to you. But I because in my time, if you draw, you pick a piece of paper and draw. Like I had friends done fucking amazing drawing. But nowadays, you don't need to really know how to physically draw to be an illustrator or to draw anything anymore. And so I think it's a different mentality set up, and I think for like the young generation, I don't even know where we're going with AI, but it's opened a lot of skills with 3D and vector illustration. Then you don't really need the paper and pencil. It's quite interesting to see.
Yeah, I think a real turning point for me during that internship was starting to do like isometric illustration in Illustrator, so vector isometric, because it felt a bit like even technical to like you were constructing all the elements with that really strict grid, and that felt quite easy for me, because I didn't have to draw. And I was like, from the first day in that internship, I had to work on like actual client projects, which like as a student was pretty scary for me. But yeah, right away I realized that it's possible. And there are like, I mean, I learned a lot. I was much better after 1 year there than I was in the beginning, but I could do something straight away. So that was really encouraging, and that totally changed my my idea of what I want to do, like 100%. After that, I never thought about like doing graphic design or something like that, but I was like going straight to it.
Have you always been in Hamburg? Like how was your
No.
How did you find moving to the UK in comparison to like back home kind of thing?
So I'm from a like a mid-sized city originally in Germany, between Cologne and Frankfurt, and I moved. Like my first move was to go study in Trier, which is even a smaller city. And yeah, then during that time, my girlfriend, who's now my wife, she moved to Hamburg right before I went to England. And yeah, she moved to Hamburg because she got a job offer there, and she also got a job offer in the city where I was studying. But we thought like it's better she goes somewhere we really want to live like longer, and I will join her after my studies. Then everything got like quite delayed because of my stay in England. But
It
then
must have been
after
difficult having like obviously a long distance relationships are never easy. But at the same time, you've got two pretty cool cities you can both visit, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, exactly. It was like at some points it was quite hard because we had 10 years of long distance relationship.
Wow, 10 years, geez.
Yeah. So 10 years before we lived in the same city for the first time. But
that must have been it must have felt a little bit strange, like, oh, now I'm seeing you every day.
Yeah. So we weren't like brave enough to move in with each other like straight away. So I lived in a shared flat for a couple of months, but like we immediately were like really annoyed that we don't live together. So
that's good.
yeah, it was a crazy journey, but we all the time, like we always felt that we need to give each other space to grow. And yeah, with England, it was quite a quite hard decision to when I was originally only meant to do the internship, which is usually like 4 or 5 months. And then the studio asked me if I want to stay like permanently. And I decided to stay at least a bit longer. So in total, I was there a bit over a year because after the internship, I felt like now it's getting really interesting for me. Um, but yeah, that was also like quite hard for the relationship. But yeah, it was no real problem for us, to be
That's
honest.
good.
Yeah.
That's good. And so being, because we see a lot of your, we're talking a lot about illustration, but I know you do like the bean badge, you have the famous the hand stickers and everything. And
Yeah.
it's nice because we were talking before, but you do a lot 3D print as well. You're trying to bring a lot of your design to the real world as well. How do you feel about that? Because it's for me, it's I don't know. I have a lot of friends are proper, like when I say artist, it's like a friend of mine is a painter. I had quite a lot of friends paint or does sculpture and things. And normally we digital artists end up just staying in front of the computer. Then I think fuck, it's good when people break that out. And I've been seeing you doing that quite a lot, And what took you to? Did you had experience before, or you want to do physical stuff?
Yeah, I don't really have much experience in that field. I mean, I started to paint with acrylics last year, which, yeah, kind of stopped again already because I enjoy it, but it was like not really, I didn't really take the time. And with 3D printing, it just felt like such a good next step for me because I work in 3D. I can model pretty much anything I want. And I was like super curious into 3D printing, like also like already 20 years ago, just reading in magazines about it. And when at some point I realized, okay, you can buy a quite good 3D printer for like $1,000. Um, then which is already like also like 8 or maybe even 10 years ago. When I got my first one, it was like it felt like magic to get your like you said, like the stuff is always just digital on the screen, maybe printed in a magazine or like on a poster, but you never have something really haptic to like take in your hands. And that step was like super crazy for me. And I never found a really good application for me until like maybe 2 or 3 years ago when I started to like when I went to conferences, I wanted to have some giveaways. So I printed something like my little hand. So something like this. I have like so many variations now of this hand, which actually started as an NFT project. Um, and is kind of like my favorite object to play around with. And yeah, I got really interested in the idea, what can I do with 3D printing? Additionally to like just giveaways. So I think the whole AI topic also sparked that feeling that I want to do more than just digital, because people will always like want to have like physical things.
Something, yeah.
And that's something that AI is not really capable of, at least for now.
At least for now, yeah.
So yeah, so I found the idea to go into the physical realm really interesting, and I'm exploring that for like trying to focus on that this year already. So I'm doing, yeah, testing sculpture ideas. I'm collaborating with different artists on things that, yeah, with the 3D printing, like printing stuff, giving it to artists, like paint on it, or like
it's cool.
taking shapes and forms from an artist who's a painter. He's painting like abstract birds. So I built a 3D version of his birds and combining it with my hand, have a bird sitting on the hand and stuff like that. And I feel like this is like really interesting for me. I wanted to go to get away from the computer a bit more with physical stuff. I mean, it's still with 3D printing. Obviously, I'm still on the computer quite a lot with it, but yeah, it's a really interesting and nice project for me.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't know, we can touch the NFT thing, but I don't know, I've got quite a lot of prints and original work from artists, and I always really like, in the studio, we used to have like a full wall, complete cover of frames and physical things, and I always like collect things like that, and then I don't know if I'm too old for that, but like the NFT for me was like, what the fuck, Yeah, I understand the owning the thing, but for me, it's like be able to touch, to be able to see, to if a sculpture, everything. For me, it's always, if I'm gonna buy something, I would buy something I can have, And
Do you think
and I think,
do you feel that's the future, like to combine it with a physical object, like the hands you were printing?
I
It
think
seems
will
like
be,
quite a nice thing.
Yeah, I find that idea quite interesting. I mean, I like the general idea of NFTs. Like if we're not talking about the craziness that was going on with the 10K projects, but the
Those were so
idea,
annoying.
yeah. I mean, I was like also quite interested in it when it was, because yeah, it was obviously quite a crazy hype, and
But it's just not about, it should be about giving to the artists that you like, rather than just, oh, I'm just going to give this person a ton of money.
exactly. And that is like, that was my approach. I got quite a lot of, I spent quite a lot of money on NFTs, because I had some like some gamble money from crypto. I had quite a nice crypto currency win, so I had some like Ethereum laying around, and I spent quite some money on NFTs, but I only bought like, not because of, okay, this project is super hyped now, but like I always try to find like artists I really like, I already like follow for quite some time already, or I really like the art. I also discovered like new artists with a really nice style. I love the characters or artworks they did. And yeah, I mean, in the end, I lost pretty much all of that money because most of them are like worthless now.
But like I said, you're supporting the artist, so it's not necessarily
exactly
about the money per se.
exactly
You're not buying a bloody not bathing ape, bathing ape yacht club. It's not like shit like that. It's it's one of ones or whatever. I think that's where it's nice. You know, you are supporting genuine artists, and I think that's a good thing.
Exactly, and that's why I go like I come out of this with a good feeling still. And it's a shame that that hype got so crazy, because the general idea, I really like it, and I was really believing in it as well. It was just like the hype was so big that obviously the bubble bursted, and
I think there's something
it's
in it.
pretty much gone
I
now.
still think there's something in it, but I don't know what.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I don't know what the future would be. There should be like an NFT 2.0, but I don't know what that would be.
I
But
mean, the
Yeah,
combination with physical is quite interesting to
definitely,
like to prove the ownership. The idea of the blockchain is quite genius.
I'd say it's a
And
good way to prove things, isn't it? It's good. It's a good way to.
yeah,
Oh, that's a definitive ownership of, you know, this sculpture or something. I think that's quite
yeah.
an
And
interesting
I
use.
also understand the idea of owning something that's like only digital. Um, I mean, it's the kids, the younger people, they live already with that. Like, I don't know, they buy knives or like weapons in
thing for
Counter-Strike
games. Yeah,
Yeah,
just for like flexing, because they don't have any like special abilities. They just look nice,
a
and
nice skin.
they only spend the money so others can see, oh, this guy has the
yeah,
nice
I
yeah.
thing.
remember
That's a little.
years ago.
That
Sorry,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I remember years and years ago when the App Store launched on the iPhone, and
Yeah.
someone made an app where it was just a button that said "I'm rich," and they
Yeah.
charged $10,000 for it,
Yeah.
and that was its only function.
Yeah, but uh, it is a little bit crazy, you know, talking about like what the way people consuming that now, you know, not just the NFT but the gaming thing, you know,
Everything
because
is digital.
the digital world is we're helping a campaign we did in Brazil is because a lot of kids get a lot bullied on the
Mhm.
games because they poor and they
Mm.
can't afford to buy armors or all these kind of things, and they really suffer a lot bully inside that,
Mhm.
you know. So it is really kind of crazy how we take in the real world how you used to do, you know, like you have a kid, James had a kid, you know, my daughter is 7 now, is in year 2, and how the schools really looking into bully thing, you know. And
Yeah.
in our time, that was just bully, and you just think that makes you stronger or fucking break you.
It's just
But
physical bullying. It
nowadays,
wasn't online.
it's just a physical. But now the online is going to complete a different level, you know.
Yep.
So it's funny we talking so much about this digital, but it's no rules there, you know. It's no parents. Knowing what is going on and everything, we see more and more the young generation killing themselves, you know, and anxiety, all this kind of problem. Is considering this generation now is considering like the generation who's going to have the most problem in anxiety, depression, and killing themselves than every
Mhm.
other generation. You know, it's a bit scary, you know.
On a similar thing, I was talking to a parent the other day at school, and they were saying about like kids nowadays using WhatsApp, stuff like that, where you know, they'd get a message and they feel pressure to reply straight away, and
Mhm.
if they didn't, they'd get, I don't know, the piss taken out of them within their WhatsApp group. So the pressure is there just to reply to a message. Whereas if it was us, it's like, no, I can wait till morning. But
Yeah.
apparently
Yeah.
that's not a thing in the younger generation, which is
But
that's
we
scary
used
because
to
then you can't get away from things.
But we used to wait like to watch cartoon. Now we used to watch one episode, wait a week to watch another one. Nowadays, I see my daughter all the time. Just fast forward. I'm not interested this session. I'm not interested. You
It's
know.
like a
Yeah.
But
TikTok
even
problem where everyone's got like a
yeah,
2 second attention
two
span.
second.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. But even talking about WhatsApp, the kids. The other day we saw article. This kid not allowed. This 8-year-old kid not allowed to phone, and he got his mother or aunt to check the group, and everyone was bullying him
Yeah.
on the group. But the way they did, they use 8 years old kid. They use AI to use his face to put in other things and start making joke. This is an
Wow.
8 years old kid. How fucked up, like you can
That's
generate
crazy.
anything, but they should be outside playing, and it's just like, man,
You got to respect the game, though.
Yeah, it's crazy, It's just all out of control now.
Yeah, it's quite a challenge to guide children through that, because we have to understand it to help them understand it. And as we are getting older, it's getting more difficult to follow all the things that going on. I don't even really understand TikTok that well. And
to me, TikTok just seems like back in like the late 90s, where you click on the wrong advert and you get a ton of pop-up windows. That's what TikTok seems like to me.
But go ahead, man.
I get like a lot of people telling me if you can train like the TikTok algorithm to your liking, and like if you use it right, you only get like content that is really interesting for you. So you could teach it to just show you artists and like stuff that's really interesting for you. And I actually tried to do that for like 2 weeks. I used it every day and like swiped everything right away I was not interested in, and I still couldn't figure it out.
I think that works with anything, no? Instagram as well. The other day we did a test really like it's gonna sound a bit sexist, but we did
go for it, Thiago.
a test like just on the search, when always show fit girls and everything, and click every single picture, then show only boobies. Like in literally 10 minutes, you can see how much the algorithm change. All the feed start coming like only girls. It's still like 70 to 30%, but that was like 10, 15 minutes. Now imagine you doing that like a whole week. It just like is complete crazy.
I find you get stuck in you just get stuck in like a little bubble, even with the algorithm. Like on my Instagram, I try to mix it up, but I'm still getting the same stuff over and over, or it's very similar styles over and over again, where half the fun is discovering new stuff, and I feel like the algorithms kind of lock you into like pigeonhole you a little bit.
It's I don't know. It's a bit scary, the manipulation.
I think we should have a system where we can swap algorithms with our friends. Like, oh, that's Thiago's feed, and then you can look at my feed. I think that'd be kind of interesting, because then you get a little bit of different taste.
I don't know about that.
Maybe not yours, Thiago. Maybe someone more responsible.
But man, we always sorry interrupt you, but we always talk. We're trying. It seems the subject is dying, not dying, but is AI is still quite a big thing there, and especially like when we're talking about illustration and we talk about 3D art, things like that. People, it's really divided nowadays, because of some people are really scary there, of the stealing the art, everything. But I think always happen. But also there is the good place as a tool, where your work is more character driven, it's less abstract work. So I think there is a little bit more time that AI catch up with that kind of thing. But how do you feel about that?
I actually feel like I have some time, and so I decided to like focus on myself and focus on what my plan was before the whole AI thing got crazy. So I want to get even more into animation, and bringing my stuff more to life. And I obviously also like tried a couple of things with AI and thought a lot about it, if I need to focus more on that as well and jump on that wagon. But I feel like I want to concentrate on like refining my skills and really also focus on what I'm interested in more. And yeah, so I like kind of, I'm not ignoring it, but so I'm also like reading a lot about it, and I have like, I'm sharing the office space here with other creatives as well. So we also obviously talk about it, and we show each other what we discover, and some of them are like doing much more stuff in AI, and I'm really interested in it. But for myself, I said like this year, I want to focus more on what my plan was anyways. So more animation, and also more physical stuff, and yeah, more also you could call it maybe storytelling. So focusing on, yeah, ideas and concept. And because I feel like the AI part, when it comes to like image creating, it's more like a technical tool that helps you with the execution. And I want to focus on, yeah, the concept and ideas and get stronger there. So, I mean, I also like from time to time use ChatGPT with like coming up with concepts or ideas, or I don't know, like brainstorming stuff. So I think there's I'm not too negative about it as like some people are, but yeah, I'm obviously like really concerned about the whole stealing art, like so artists getting like their work stolen or like fed into the AIs without consent.
There's a question of ownership, isn't there, with that? Like
Exactly.
recently, this week, especially with Scarlett Johansson and her voice being taken
Yeah.
by as OpenAI.
Yeah,
And that, I
yeah.
mean, that's the same for us, but obviously we don't have the same stature as Scarlett Johansson, but it's the
Yeah,
same
that's
situation.
exactly. I think that's the problem that concerns me the most.
I think it's a new, you know, it's I see it like as a big tool to help out, you know, special through this last year and a half where, you know, our industry got really hit by a recession. But being in the industry 25 years, I never saw anything like that. The recession we had last year, and seems to start picking up, but I think it is a tool, and I think it is there uh, to help us, you know, to create things or help to, you know, visualize things. We've been trying to use a little bit, you know, concept wise and everything, but not stealing styles or anything, you know, but really help. ChatGPT is great as well to use as a kind of assistant. Or you said, you know, brainstorm is good. It's nice, you know, a quick, fast way to chat with one, throw ideas and get back and everything. But it seems like the hype as well is, I'm not gonna say it's dying, but it's a conversation I had before. A lot of people was really scared, but who was using that was like most, not the creative people in the agents that come with style frames, show you, sell to the client, come to you and say, you know, we need to do that, and no one can do for the money they have all the time, you know. So it seems it's kind of a normalizing a little bit now, but
We're
it's
starting to figure out its
yeah, I
place.
think it is, but it's the same, you know. Spotify is here, and Spotify rip off every single artist and fucked up everyone, you know.
Yeah,
And
Snoop Dogg was not happy.
and the document, but I think anything comes new is always
Everyone's
agrees
always
and
skeptical about
disagrees.
new things, aren't they?
Yeah, and you needed to not normalize, but you need to create rules. You know, until you see that problem, the rules is not never gonna be created, and without people protest, you know, we're never gonna get in anywhere. You know, we're talking about fucking AI, but if we're talking, you know, like back in the old days, you know, I'm reading a book with my daughter now for the school, you know, how black people need to sit in the back of the bus, you know, and they start protest. Everything is imposed to us is always never right, until people start complaining or protest or boycott, and start creating the rules around that, but I think it's good to have everyone scare or everyone talk or everyone protest again. But it's I think it's a long way, it's moving really fast, but to create the rules to that, I think is but I think it's nice to see, like even you show me that project with the hand, then you collaborate with artists and everything. I think also it creates opportunities for you to experiment with different things than you wouldn't be able. Like we're talking about drawing, you never was an illustrator. Or, imagine kids, how many kids killed the dreams when they were kids because they weren't be able to draw what they visualize. Imagine you can tell something on your own words and create that vision for you. How many superheroes gonna be creating the filter by kids, then I couldn't draw, and there is always the good on the creative side as well. But it's nice to see, what you're saying about focus on concept and even narrative. A narrative. I don't think AI will understand us. And the point they can create the jokes or the narrative the way we feel. I think feeling is the big thing. It's always like that. In the past, commercial changed so much for TV because people used to do the best commercial ever. Everyone won a prize, but no one remember that shit because we didn't have any connection feeling humans. We always remember about feelings. So it's quite nice. You touched that point, but the physical you're doing is great.
I think with the AI as well, I mean it will not go away. It will get like in every aspect of our life, I think. And the thing is, I feel like companies and like brands at some point they will have the need, or people will want the real human touch again. It will get like quite important, I think. So even if everything is possible to be done by AI, people will like the human-made things.
We can see that happen with how cell animation came back in the last few years. Is the craft. I think the creativity of the artist.
Creativity is not always logical. It's not always I don't think an algorithm can always predict it. It's like you're connecting dots that don't make sense, and that's how a good creative happens, and that's how a good creative works. And I'm sure AI will get there at some point, but I think it's a long way off that side yet, rather than just scraping the internet and sticking stuff together.
And the good stuff I see created like visually with AI is always a human using it in a really special way and putting things together that the AI wouldn't put together on their own. So it's human creativity that is bringing something really nice out of the AI.
True.
And, we mentioned about like kids earlier, so I'm kind of curious. Like, what does your kid think you do for a living?
He actually understands that I like create colorful images for clients, and he's quite interested. Like in the evening, he always asks me if I can show him what I worked on. And he has a really strong opinion as well.
Does he give you client feedback?
Yeah. He always tells me like, this is not a good color. Or like, I like this one. Why is it not bigger? Or something like that. So
why is this not Paw Patrol?
Yeah.
Do you implement anything come from your kids? The reason I'm asking that because
kids have pure creativity.
They have a pure mind. They see things in a different perspective than we don't, and like even I always show my daughter fully understand why, though she's 7 years old and she draws a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And but she made comments. Sometimes it's comments that you fuck. I didn't see for that perspective, or
Mm-hmm.
from, because we kind of, I would say, at least on my side, corrupted by the system. How it work wise.
You're definitely corrupted.
I'm Brazilian, so I couldn't, not be corrupted. And but do you apply? Do you
Yeah,
get comments? Sometimes you look and say, "Wow, how did I not think about this?" And apply, and you say, "Fuck, that's a great idea."
actually, yes. I sometimes I show him like a sketch or a concept or even like already a 3D image where I think if I did it right, he should already like understand it immediately what it's about. And sometimes he doesn't get it and he tells me what he sees in it. And it's really helpful for me because he's like you said, he has such a pure mind. And if like sometimes it has to be that simple that even a 6-year-old like immediately can understand it. And yeah, that like from time to time that already helped me quite a lot, and I made some changes to it so um it makes more sense. So
That's
yeah,
cool,
it's
yeah.
Is he
funny.
getting into is he into like the kind of the drawing and the creative side? Like, how has he got like the creative gene?
Yes, but a bit different. So he taught himself reading and writing already. He's starting school in September. He's he's already like reading since he was like 4 years old, and he started writing last year. And he's like, he says he wants to be an author. And he's writing like every day, like um pages after pages. He like mostly like the like characters from his favorite shows, like started with Paw Patrol, obviously, then now he's into Spider-Man. So he's um writing episode lists with made up episode titles.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah,
That's
he's
cool.
like, it's totally crazy. And he's also drawing characters, then writing like character descriptions for it, and then sometimes even like writing whole stories. So he's definitely very creative and he's creating all the time. But I think he's more into the storytelling than the drawing work, really. So this
Yeah,
It's
is,
interesting. He sounds like really focused already in terms of, he's got a structure, he's got his characters
yeah.
down. Then I'll write like a
yes.
little narrative or something. That's pretty amazing for for a 6-year-old.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
obsessed with lists.
It's funny you comment that, because I don't draw a lot. Like, we're talking about illustration, I don't draw a lot, but my daughter draws a lot.
Hmm.
But in the last few years, she writing a lot more, and it's funny to see their minds on writing.
Hmm.
I quite associate a lot what you said now, and it's funny. She started with comic books, like
Hmm.
copying or creating her own character, but she does the same, right? Description of how is the character and everything.
Yeah.
And now she's 7. She got more into chapter books,
Hmm.
with no picture, and she started writing books without picture. And for me, it's like, oh, that's a bit
Crazy.
weird, and
It's
because
crazy, yeah.
it is. She did. We were on holiday, and she was on the train and writing. She finished a
Hmm.
16-page little book.
Wow.
But it's weird how they see us and how they have their own world, their own
Mm.
inspiration about. Because I don't know if you write, but I don't. She never saw me write.
No,
And
not at all.
where it comes, like reading books. I think because it's also the same connection with art, comic book or books, and
Hmm.
for us, I don't know. I'm not really a book person, Try to read more nowadays, but
Hmm.
it's cool to see, the 6 years old doing. writing things, and
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah, I
think I
mean,
would do anything like that before.
It's using a similar part of your mind, isn't it? You're still, when you're writing, you're imagining this world or what have you in
Yeah,
your head. It's a similar uh, creative part, I guess.
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
He has really, like, my son has a creative mind, but in a totally different way, I feel. I mean, he also, like, from time to time, he says he wants to do the same things I'm doing later, and he wants to, like, when I do create stickers, he says he wants to be a sticker maker, and he's also like really fascinated about the stuff I'm doing. He's also really, I printed so much stuff in 3D for him as well,
it's cool.
obviously. So he all likes all that stuff, but I think his passion is really in, like, I think when he was 2 years old, or like almost 3, really wanted the big Legos, the Duplo,
Oh yeah.
there's a train with the letters, and he was like, he couldn't read anything, but he was like so fascinated about the letters. So yeah, we gave it to him to his birthday, and he was all the time like asking already, what's that letter? What's that letter? And
That's cool.
he was just like, he was trying to learn like reading on his own. Like,
Before, yeah, that's
yeah,
amazing.
it's
And
crazy.
is how was when you grow up? Like I don't know. Um, I'm from the 80s back in Brazil. So like art,
Hmm.
like design, animation was not as not even close to what you guys used to have in Europe. So for me, my mom always had my sisters draw, and but like normally parents on back in the 80s, it's like, oh, I need to be a lawyer, you need to be a bank, this is a real job, a doctor. So I didn't have like the same relation my daughter has with me with art, like showing. She
Hmm.
goes on Photoshop and draw with the tablets, go on Cinema 4D, do like basic things. uh how how was your when you grow up, and how you're trying to change that nowadays, because it seems like you
Hmm.
have, I think we parents come from this industry trying to, I have friends don't, but, trying to show things, experiment
Hmm.
with the kids. But did you grow up with your parents really pushing or giving you experience like that?
Not really, actually. I mean, I was interested in cartoons, but like more like TV shows. Um, was never really a comic reader. Um, and like in school, my favorite subject was art, but I never thought about like, oh, I want to do this as a profession at some point. Um, and it was only when I started using computer with like, yeah, starting with Paint, Corel Draw at some point. I was really fascinated with these graphic programs. And then after school, I I didn't really know what I want to do. I just wanted to do something with a computer. And I did like, I start like right after school, I started another school for like coding, for
That's
coding
cool.
for like industrial machines. It was super boring. It was just something my mom found, and because I told her I want to do something with a computer, she said you could do this, and I said okay, it's easy. I don't have to sort out anything. So I did this, and I knew straight away it wasn't something for me when I started it, but someone showed me Photoshop in that school. And
That's cool.
from there on, I got an idea. And yeah, I was looking for books and magazines where I could learn something, because back then there was no YouTube.
Yeah.
In the internet, it was quite hard to find anything. So yeah, I got some magazines, like Advanced Photoshop, and yeah, stuff like about digital creativity or digital creation, really. And from there, really my interest in that field grew, seeing all the different things you could do with these tools. I think it only started then that I was really considering doing something like this and getting more interested. I mean, I was always like super fascinated by graffiti as well. Never did it myself, but yeah, I think I was already interested into visual arts from
Remember,
early on, but I
do you
never
remember,
thought about it.
do you remember back then there was I used to quite like this kind of design group who used to combine like graphic design style illustration with graffiti called 123 Clan. Do you remember them?
Yeah, actually, that rings a bell.
Because they had like a really kind of like nice graffiti style with a slight techiness to it. You know, everything was like really great vectors, and it was just a really interesting time to see all these kind of like crossovers come in with the with the new technologies of Photoshop and
Yeah.
Illustrator becoming more accessible.
Yeah, and it's funny thinking back now. I think with graffiti, I was always really interested in the characters when they drew characters, and um, which is funny because I never thought about that. But yeah, in the end, characters also like I tried to draw like also the characters from the cartoon series, Turtles and uh Transformers and stuff like that. It was all really bad. I never could like draw it really well, but I was always fascinated into the characters, and it took me, I don't know, quite long to start like taking the step to do characters on my own.
That's
Interesting how
cool.
we always delve into our like our childhood upbringing, like in the cartoons we saw and the
Yeah.
films we saw, and it's interesting that it's such at the time when you're going through it, you don't realize how much of an informative part of your life that is, and how much, if you're into creative thinking, how much it will form for like future creative solutions, like be it a pitch out of wherever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, it was hard, I think the possibility, the doors, related to what we could do in the past and what you can do nowadays is changed so much. I think we were maybe more dreamers, we like things, but not never for as a career, maybe, at least for me back in Brazil, because you know how you will survive. But even nowadays, we're talking a lot. I think things is changing so much. It's still a career there, but it's how many people do well in the career. But I think it's every kind of job. It's really depending how much you put your time, the passion and everything. I think a lot of us uh, got a lot of passion and really
Yeah.
trying to dive there, and it's something I really like, work, because you see your work, and for me, like going on Instagram, it feels like you're a person that just live your life doing like personal projects, and I think that is really cool. I know it's not reality, but it's something I talk to a lot of people or students when I teach or doing workshop, because people forget how important is the personal work, to develop new skills or to present yourself. And I see you as a really good demonstration of this, because you go on your Instagram and say, fuck, he doesn't look like his work, it's just like a fun, probably a rich guy, then he just sit down and do fun stuff the whole day, but that's how much the personal work is important.
Yeah, it's definitely. I'm actually preparing a talk right now. I'm doing next week, which I named "Fun Fuels Fortune," because yeah, I realized at some point that all the passion projects and personal explorations and all that stuff is like really a crucial part to my process. Um, like pretty much in every inquiry I get, when there's a mood board with like things from my portfolio, it's never like other client projects. It's always like things I did like on my own
cool.
personal projects. And yeah, at some point I realized that, and it gave me like the permission to waste time on like playing around. Like for a long time I felt always like quite bad, like that I felt like procrastinating when I'm supposed to do my taxes, or I don't know, work on a client project. I have this idea and I have feel the urge to like do it like immediately, do something I'm not supposed to do at the moment. But
sometimes you have to get it out though, otherwise it
Yeah.
seems to block everything else. No, I need to get this out.
yeah,
But that's a good way to procrastinate as well, man. I'm procrastinating
exactly.
sitting in the sofa watching Netflix, so you're
Yeah.
creating things.
Yeah. I call
You're
it
just playing with your algorithm.
Yeah,
I call it professional procrastination.
that's good. Yeah, maybe I need to start learning that.
I mean,
Nice.
it shows that like I feel really what's the word?
Passion about your work.
But I feel like really blessed that I found something I'm so passionate about, and I could make a living out of it and like provide for my family. It's like sometimes I think about it and it's mind-blowing for me that this is possible, because I really every day I do at least something I enjoy a lot. And like also with client jobs, I mean, it took quite some time when I moved a bit more into the style I really like. So more colors, more like cuteness and stuff like that. It took some time to get like clients to recognize that and get like client projects coming in for that, because I started out doing just 3D. And because I
Yeah,
did 3D, like I got some agents and I was the only 3D artist they were representing. So I got all the 3D inquiries in. Um, so it was not about like my personal style. It was just because I was the 3D artist. And when I stopped showing that stuff I was not really enjoying and only showing cute stuff,
yeah.
really colorful stuff, it got quite hard for some time, because people, yeah, they like, especially in Germany, it's quite hard to get some fun stuff to clients, because they're
Yeah.
like, German clients are really conservative. It's starting to change quite a lot. Like in the last I would say like 2 years, I did some really nice and fun illustration and animation projects for clients in Germany as well. But
That's cool.
it was quite hard when there was a shift in my style. It took quite long for people to reach out for that style.
But that's I think is always important to remember, like because people sometimes they just give up what they're doing just because they think, oh, I'm not really doing what I want to do. But I think this is I always had I always say I don't consider myself artist. I'm considering myself more a designer because I
Hmm.
get a brief or a problem and creatively I solve that.
Hmm.
As I see you, like or people more like you, then do your stuff, constantly every day. The same when I talk about artist friends of mine, like example Laurel, he sit in his studio and paint until people
Hmm.
buy his shit, and I think when I see people like you, is you doing what you do, you promote what you do, and until people you get one day, I think in the past it used to be
Hmm.
harder because people is starving, like artists used to be
Yeah.
starving to until or if they make that. I think with the digital world is a lot easier nowadays, but I think it's important to remember, like to the young generation, like how important is personal project and how important is keep doing what you do, because it's the famous thing what you said on the mood board. Clients normally comes to your personal project, and there is
Hmm.
something we always love discuss clients don't really come and ask for new things. They ask for what they already saw.
Yes.
You know, we call them creative clients, but that unfortunately is just a field that really comes with something like that. So until you do that, and it's like you said, you know, until you be able to show you can do that, but people don't trust you doing that, you know, and the more you put. So I think it's a good give up to, you know, like to people in general, you know, because people forget about this, you know.
Yeah, try to like always have to try to find time for, as a creative, to get your ideas out and to show it to the world. So yeah, they will, like, the clients will only hire you for the things they know you can do, and so show everything you want to do, and at some point the clients will come.
And
So
make
the
sure,
classic
like
phrase, is if you build it, they will come. I think it's very apt.
Yeah, and make sure, like you said, you know, you stop showing some kind of stuff you didn't want to do and just show what you want to do, and
they will always
shift.
pick that, won't they?
Yeah, you know, but it is important, you know, it is important. Guys, we're getting just past an hour, so let's get last 2 questions for you. So, James, do you want to do one and I do one?
Yeah, sure. I can't remember if we touched on it earlier, but like where do you get your like creative inspiration from? Like what inspires you to create your work?
Yeah, I think it's like it's a mixture of everything. I see a lot of stuff online, obviously. I mean, I spend a lot of time, sadly, on Instagram, but also like on, Behance, other portfolios. So I get inspired by other artists. I think a lot of people don't tell that really, because they like want to be more unique. But yeah, I love illustration. I love animation and all that cute stuff. So it really inspires me to do something. Obviously, I try to put my own spin on it, but it also, like, seeing work from other, like, for example, from 2D artists. From time to time, I ask an artist where I find a illustration really nice, to do a collab, like me recreating something in 3D that is initially a 2D illustration or something like that.
Those are always fun, I think.
Yeah, I love that. And then I think, like, pretty much like everyday life situations from my life, things that, like, topics that I think about on a daily basis really inspire me as well for the subjects that I put into my work.
That's nice, and it's nice you talking about contact like a 2D illustrator, and you like to do a collaboration, because sometimes people also forget about, you know, you don't really need to be the best in everything, you know, but you can even if you're just animator, you know, you can find a really good design and animate the design, you know, and you just increase your skills without
you don't have to be an
effort.
island.
Yeah, and exactly. I think that's really, really important, and I think people is a lot more easy to connect nowadays, and a lot more open to collaboration, you know. Like in the past we used to do a lot of projects, you know, like used to have only like impact with small group of people, you know, like we used to have stash and things in DVDs in that time. We didn't have internet, but I think nowadays it's so open.
It's more important nowadays as well, since quite a number of people work from home, so to have that collaborative aspect as if you're in a studio,
the human feeling.
nice thing.
Yeah, that's cool. And I have a last question for you as well. We talk a lot, you know, I've seen your work and the 3D work. I really love, you know, like seeing your physical stuff is something quite fascinating. I always keep telling, I have a lot of ideas on physical project, but I never really put that in practice, and it really pissed me off. But where you're talking about you taking your time this year to create more physical, things. You were talk to us earlier as well. Where do you see you going? Where we see you in the next, like maybe 2-3 years? What do you have any, goals or things you want to experiment and can you share with us?
Yeah, I have a lot of ideas. So I think the long-term dream is to create a world of like topics and like characters that I developed over the years, and I'm still developing. I have a couple of characters that are that I did a lot of stuff with already, and I would love to explore that even more with physical sculptures, also with, I don't know, I'm really interested into fashion, so I would also love to put illustration on clothing. And I think what I would love to do, like in the long term, is like a combination of art and design, like maybe brand collaborations even more, and just put my ideas out in different mediums. I also have I have ideas for children books, or like even art books also for like children and adults. I have ideas for apps as well, or for one specific app. And yeah, I'm planning a couple of collaborations with artists that I mentioned already. And I think I still want to work like as a designer, I would say. Since you said you see yourself not as an artist, but more as a designer, I think I realized that I want to do both. I always had a problem with saying I'm an artist, but now I'm confident enough to say like I want to do like my own stuff where like no one else tells me anything I have to do, but I enjoy also like working with clients. So I think I want to do both, and I'm actually working on a concept for my first like solo gallery show in
Cool.
a friend of mine had opened a quite a small like pop-up location where like we can do a pop-up store, but I want to do like I want to use it as a gallery. So I'm putting ideas together. What like I have to start really from scratch. So what do I even want to show, and what combination of what kind of work? And I want to do physical there as well, but also like digital. I want to show animation because I'm really passionate about that on screens. So this is something I want to do this year,
That's
definitely
nice.
here, which would be here in Hamburg. And yeah, and I am planning to release like fine art prints, um, which is also like smaller sculptures I'm working on with a shop, like a fine art print shop in Berlin, um, which is focusing on illustration artists. So yeah, this is some stuff
It's
Very
quite a lot of
exciting.
stuff. Yeah, that's
yeah.
cool, man. Yeah, that's really nice. It's so fun to see your mind, but you're doing the things, it's not just putting on the paper and not or just in your brain, but you're really getting physically doing something. So it's really nice, inspiring as well, man.
It is.
Yeah,
Nice.
man. So we just hit an hour and 15, man. It's been really inspiring and really a pleasure for talking.
Huge thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks so much to join
mine.
and share and show how passionate you are, about doing that. It's great to see, and I hope inspire people as well, man. Thanks so much.
Definitely.
Thank you
Cool.
too.
So,
it was a pleasure to be on with you.
No, it was big good. And as we said, let's try and get like on the physical show as well. And talking about the physical show, guys, we have the next Evo physical or live, whatever we call, in London on the Brick Lane on 93 feet east on the 10th of 11th of June, James. What it is?
It
I think
is
it's the
first Tuesday, isn't it? So it's the 4th.
No, it's not the 4th. It's
sorry, you're right. It's the 11th.
It's 11th, yeah. It's on the 11th. So we're gonna announce next week as well. It's always fun the live show and meet people face to face.
Definitely.
We will post on the Instagram and man, just want to thank you so much. It was really good.
Huge thanks.
Thank you too. Thanks for having me.
Good night, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah.
So I just stopped the live stream, so it's fine.
That was good.
Yeah,
Nice.
it was really nice, man. Thanks so much. Really
super cool
inspiring.
chat.